Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to the Infatuasian podcast, a show where we aim to celebrate and elevate Asian culture and creators. Thank you so much for joining us today. And we're going to have a great conversation today. We have zooming in all the way from Melbourne, Australia. We get to speak with Connie Kao today. Connie is a passionate urban permaculture gardener, photographer, and creator. Just this November of 2024, she published her first book. It's called Your Asian Veggie Patch. It is great. It is a guide to growing your own Asian fruits and veg at home. So welcome to the show, Connie.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited. I love a cross-ocean podcast.
I love a cross-hemisphere podcast.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, we're in, so it's December. We're about 2 weeks away from Christmas. And I'm wearing 3 layers because currently I turned it into Celsius because I usually think in Fahrenheit, but it's about 12 degrees Celsius here. And I looked up Melbourne's weather and I think you're going to hit like 38 on the weekend or on Monday. Yeah,
yes,
I think so.
It is. Yeah, I'm in a t-shirt right now. It's always funny because especially like in gardening, the creators you can see when they're in the Northern Hemisphere or the Southern Hemisphere, and we're doing complete opposite things.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's almost like a preview. Like you're doing all your warm season stuff, and I'm getting all ready for cold season stuff because it's getting cold.
Wow.
Actually, you know what's cool too is that we are. So San Francisco is about 37 degrees latitude north, and I think Melbourne. Yeah, I think you're 37 degrees south, so we're almost exactly the same latitude, but just different times of the year.
I know that because I follow a lot of gardeners in your area because we're very similar in season.
Yeah. No, I think people compare Melbourne and San Francisco all the time, like in so many ways. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that in a minute. Well, we like to greet our guests. So it's, what is it, 10 a.m. over there?
Yes, it's 10 a.m. And you?
We're 3 p.m. on Thursday.
Oh, okay. That is very strange because it's Friday for us here.
I know.
We're living in the future.
How's Friday looking? Friday looking okay?
Yeah, it's pretty good, actually. We've had a good run of weather here. I mean, I always feel like I always think about the weather because I garden so much. But my friend's actually getting married tomorrow. So I've been especially thinking about the weather, and it's good weather tomorrow. So I'm happy.
Perfect. And we like to greet our guests in the Asian way. So Connie, have you eaten yet? 吃了吗?
No, 我没有吃. Because I don't eat breakfast.
Is that just because you're up with the sun or you just?
I don't know. It just started becoming a habit. It used to be a very strange thing to think about, but my partner doesn't eat breakfast, so I just stopped eating breakfast, and now I don't feel hungry in the morning.
Okay, all right, nothing wrong with that. I'm not eating breakfast normally because I'm just running out of the house. You know, I gotta go.
Yeah, busy mornings.
Busy mornings. Yeah, I got a couple kids. We got to get them on out of the door too. So it's always very busy. And so so we kind of started talking in November, right after your book came out, and we were going to talk. You were super gracious and like, oh yeah, sure, I'll come on the podcast. And then you got super sick.
I've been sick for 5 weeks, and to be honest, because we had this podcast scheduled, I think 5 weeks ago, and we had to reschedule twice. To be honest, I'm still not well yet.
Oh my gosh.
I have a cough lolly in my throat.
Oh no.
But yeah, we're getting there.
It's weird because you're going into summer too. You're getting the peak of summer and you were getting all these viruses. But...
Yeah, I think because I went on book tour and I saw so many people. Yeah. And normally I'm at home doing my own thing. Right. My immune system was not ready.
Not ready for that. But so glad to have you on. So glad to have you on now.
Thank you.
And hey, thank you for spending some time away from the new loves of your life.
Yeah.
How many do you have? You have like 12 chickies? How many chickens do you have?
I actually have 17. And I have 2 dogs. So I have 19 pets right now. So I'm cleaning up after 19 poo holes.
They're just running around and pooping everywhere.
But I was meant to have 15 chicks. So I ended up with 17 by accident, chicken mats. But I decided to get my chicks now because I had just finished my book tour stuff. So I felt like I had more time for them. but they've been quite a handful in a really good way. They're so cute. You just want to hold them all the time. You want to, touch them. And I'll tell you what, chicks smell really good. I don't know what the scent is, but I'm guessing it's what people think human babies smell like, because I personally think animals smell really good when they're young.
Yeah, if you watch, go to Connie's Instagram, you can see just the love fest. There's so much love in those posts. You can tell you are obsessed with those little guys.
I am.
But yeah, so thanks to you for taking some time away from the babies to spend some time with us. The book, Your Asian Veggie Patch, huge congrats on this. It's kind of, I don't know if it's one of a kind, but it's the first one I've seen like dedicated to Asian veg.
I personally feel like it's quite one of a kind in that the only titles I've seen about Asian veggies are almost 15, 20 years old now. And interestingly, they're written by Western people, Western authors. So it's a very different kind of, like angle looking into Asian veggies. Whereas this one, I'm pretty sure is the first one that I've seen written from an Asian author, Asian gardener's point of view. And so I think that's what's so exciting about this book, which makes me really excited about it, because I can share all of that love and like my history and like my connection with all of these different food plants with everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, and happy to report it's available in San Francisco, California. I tracked it down. There were 2 copies, but there's only 1 copy now. I found it at Green Apple Books over on Clement Street, and I sent you a little video. And ironically, I don't know if it's ironic, but it's funnily enough located in the cannabis section.
I want to know why it's there, and I think you should go back and move it back.
Maybe I'll move it to the veg. I don't know what happened. Yeah, whoever saw it said, you know what, we got to put this book in the cannabis section.
Did they read the cover? I thought it was quite clear what it was about.
It's in the title, but I'll get back over there. I'll relocate it for you.
Yeah, give him a little talking to.
But yeah, available in San Francisco or, of course, on Amazon. You can get it anywhere in the world, I'm sure. Would you mind giving us a quick description of the book?
Yeah, so it's called Your Asian Veggie Patch, and I memorized this as my elevator pitch.
Okay.
But basically, it is a beginner-friendly, comprehensive guide to growing and harvesting Asian veggies, herbs, and fruit. And it's got probably like 40 to 50 different plants in there. And there's also around 40 to 50 recipes, because for me, I feel like the gardening journey doesn't just end at harvest. You also want to know how to cook with these new things you've grown.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I really liked about it is that I live in a city. I have a regular backyard. I find a lot of gardening books are written by people who live on micro farms or, just bigger properties. So there's a real small space, kind of container friendly kind of theme to it. And I also have a permaculture background. So I did a permaculture design certificate. And so there's more of a sustainable, regenerative, and kind of organic gardening approach to everything that I do and write about. Yeah.
Love it. Yeah. And honestly, I think you could put this on the coffee table. This is a coffee table book. It's so pretty and it has so many good pictures in it. So yeah.
I should tell my sister, because she took the cover page.
Oh, she took a picture. Oh yeah. Oh, lovely. Yeah. No, it's great.
Coffee table worthy. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But you know what? I don't think I've ever used the term permaculture. Is that an Aussie thing, or is that something that I just don't know about?
It is interesting because I was talking to, Epic Gardening. I was actually doing a podcast with them last week, and like from my understanding, I feel like maybe the term isn't as popularly used in the States. But yes, permaculture did originate in Australia. It originated, so 2 people here, Bill Mollison and David Holmgren, they kind of created this idea, which is a design framework. It's all about, sustainable living, but in a way where it's not just about ensuring the world stays the same. It's improving and regenerating the soil and like improving everything around us. So doing whatever you're doing in life in that kind of way. And so I think because it was a term coined here, it is a lot more popular here. But I would still say it is not it's not like a mainstream term yet.
Sure.
Even though there are more books about it getting there, but it is quite similar. I guess you could liken it to organic gardening, but it's a bit more holistic and, all encompassing.
Yeah. Because I've done a little gardening and dabbled here and there, and it seems like you almost need to choose between edible gardening and ornamental gardening.
No.
But permaculture is so gorgeous. The way your backyard, it looks so relaxing, and at the same time producing. You just grab some stuff off the tree and eat it. Yeah.
I think I thought that too. I always felt like at the start, I only want to grow productive things that I can eat because I don't want to waste that tiny bit of space. It's not tiny. I mean, I'm really lucky to have a backyard, but I didn't want to waste space on ornamental things.
Yeah.
But I have started growing flowers and I've always loved flowers. And I realized that they're actually really important. It's almost like you can't grow veggies without growing flowers because they help bringing like all the insects and the wildlife.
Yeah.
And so I'm so passionate about my garden. I see growing flowers. So I see growing, food, veggies, herbs, fruit, whatever, as growing food for your stomach, right? But when you grow flowers, you grow food for your soul because, they just make you so happy.
Yeah.
And I love giving them to like my friends and little bouquets and everything. So yeah, definitely everything goes together in permaculture.
Love it. Yeah. And I have one neighbor who's kind of like, so I live in kind of a suburb area where everyone has kind of lawns as their front garden,
I have seen photos of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe it's an American thing.
I do wonder if it's an American thing.
To me, it's kind of ugly and it wastes a lot of water and not the best use of space. So I know that there are some movements of people who are starting to do edible stuff in the front garden as good things to look at as well, but also productive for, and they feed their neighbors. Some people put signs that say, hey, take some lettuce, take what you want, from the front garden. So it's kind of cool.
I love that. I think that's really great because when you garden in the front, so in Australia, I guess a lot of us do have lawns, but we definitely have a lot of plants as well. I've seen photos of American gardens. Is it because of like HOA rules where sometimes you're not allowed to plant?
It might be. Yeah.
Because we don't really have that. I mean, we still have lawns, but we have a lot of plants. And I find that we still have this kind of traditional mentality that like your front lawn should be pretty and people think that edibles aren't pretty, but I find that once you start growing interesting things in your front yard, it's a really great way to get to know your neighbors because you're always in the front yard gardening. People are walking by. They might be, helping themselves to the lettuce you're offering. And it's just such a great way to build community and get to know each other. So I feel like it's a really great place to garden.
Yeah, no, I agree. All right, everyone, tear up those lawns and put in some lettuce and put in some herbs.
Definitely.
All right. Yeah, you can't go wrong with that. All right, let's wind it back a second just because we are the Infatuasian podcast, so we like to dig into our guests' roots a little bit. And you've written about this. So your parents are from China?
Yeah.
But you were born in Australia.
Yeah. So my parents, they migrated to Australia in the late 80s. So they actually not coincidentally, but they're the generation that grew up what's your background, by the way?
Oh, I'm Chinese American, but my grandparents some of them were born here and some of them were born in China.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah. So my parents, they grew up like smack bang in the middle of the Cultural Revolution, which is like quite a unique period and challenging period to grow up in. And so, and then late 80s, they came to Australia, but they weren't able to like study. I think they couldn't afford to study here. And so they've just kind of worked like small jobs, like cash out kind of retail jobs in their life in Australia. And they're Asian. So you can imagine they have high expectations for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was born in Australia. I have a younger sister and their dreams for us was to be a doctor and a lawyer. But I guess growing up, I think I was always really drawn to like creative things. I love drawing. I love art. I love just getting creative with my hands. And so there was a little bit of, what would I say? Dissonance in the household there.
Sure.
Yeah. And I actually went on to study law. my parents won that one. I got subliminally convinced. So I did that. Oh, this is a long-winded story because I probably should be talking about how I got into gardening, but
No, you're fine. You're fine.
yeah. But I've always been into, like gardening and nature and creativity in terms of like photography. I loved media. I loved, writing for magazines, stuff like that. And so at the time, even then, pre-pandemic times, nobody was posting about gardening on social media.
Yeah.
And so it's hard because this is this is my job, like working for myself, but like I have to slowly, morph myself to help like follow the market because if no one's posting for it, I can't work in this area. And so it was a very slow process getting there. But I'm there now and it's really exciting. And I'll tell you how I got into gardening.
Yeah, I was wondering if it was a pandemic thing, but you said it's before the pandemic. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was. So as a kid, I really begged my parents to have a veggie garden ever since I was probably like 8 years old. And we just had really small places with no gardens, which like now I know you can garden in a small space, but, at the time we didn't know that. And I guess from my parents' point of view, like, why did we move to Australia for you to become a peasant again?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
right.
They're like, this is not what we came here to do.
Mm-hmm.
This is, you're meant to become a white collar worker or something.
Right.
Yeah. So it wasn't, like how they subliminally got me into studying law. I did manage to somehow get them to start a garden eventually. And my parents started growing Asian veggies because that was simply what they knew, right?
Yeah.
They very much still have preserved their, so they're Shanghainese. They preserve, a lot of their like food culture in Australia. And so my mum, she grabbed all these seeds like bok choy, celtus, I didn't know celtus at the time, long beans, stuff like that from their friends. And my dad would grow them. And I think that's when I started kind of understanding more about Asian veggies because I could see them grow, in front of my eyes. And I was like helping him with it. And then my mum, she would cook it in the kitchen because she's a really great cook. And so I guess when I moved out of home, I really missed growing those Asian veggies as well because in Australia, like there's not that many Asian veggies available, even though there is a lot. But, in certain areas like where I live, it's not so accessible.
Yeah.
And so being able to grow my own and grow all sorts of different varieties is just really exciting. And I guess it's a way to, I'm sorry, I'm just having a big monologue right now. It's a good way to, I guess, also like connect with my parents because they're very traditional. They don't really like to talk about things best, even though I can speak conversationally. So it's a great way to kind of find things out about them, but being very innocent about it, It's like, when did you eat this? And you might find something out about your grandma. Yeah.
No, I love it. I mean, I agree with you. It's kind of like a conversation starter. Food is such an easy way to get something started and talking. I love the way you got them on board by providing like Asian veg for them. They're like, okay, well, this is okay. We can tolerate this.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if they tolerate. I think I'd say they've accepted it because my sister has become a doctor.
Okay.
And so they've got that going for them. So I'm very grateful for her.
She took one for the team.
She did. But luckily she enjoys it and she's a really good doctor. Yeah. So it worked out.
Well, and you're doing well. You're not floundering. You're a published author now, so that's really
thank
cool.
you. I did show them my book, and they were like, "Oh, this is in bookshops." I'm like, "Yeah, you should go visit a bookshop." I'm not sure if they've been, but they did go to one of the department stores, and they saw it, and they were like, "Oh, this is quite cool, actually."
Yeah, and you're on TV, right? You're on ABC Australia and some other shows.
Yeah, I've done a bit of like TV stuff, which has been really fun. Yeah.
So that's cool. They can always brag about that. They have one doctor and one person on TV. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, let's talk about your book. Got a copy with me right here. It is great. It is something that, how long did it take you to get this started and written?
Well, I've been thinking about it for quite a few, maybe like a couple of years, the idea. I've had notes for a couple of years, but to be honest, I think I wrote the actual book in something like 4 months.
Yeah.
Which is very wild because I guess I wanted to get it out there as soon as I could, but I was glad that I had done all that like background work already. So it was more about kind of organizing my notes and getting it into book form. But the whole publishing process is a lot longer than I knew. After like I finished my writing, it's like another whole year before the book actually comes out because there's so much else to do. Yeah.
Yeah. If you're used to like social media where you can film it and put it up in a day or a couple hours, but
exactly.
Publishing's a lot slower.
Yeah.
All right. But hey, let's talk about it a little bit. So it's divided into two main parts. The first part is gardening, and it's not that much different than any gardening book, but I really like the way you did it. It's got a lot of good information in a small amount of space, so it's not like long, but it's very efficient.
I'll tell you what, that is one of the skills that I learned in law school that is very transferable when you write. Yes. I was always told in law school, if that word doesn't need to be there, get rid of it. And so I guess that's how I write these days. And I think for me, like I always think because I guess I can remember when I first started gardening and I remember how I understand concepts. And so I write them in those ways so that somebody who knows nothing about gardening can understand easily. Because too often I feel like, you know, if you're super academically involved in a topic, then it becomes very like, you know, convoluted.
Yeah.
Getting the message across. So I try to write really simply and understandably. Yeah.
See, 6 years of law school, not a waste.
No.
All right. So it's great. So you have this one little phrase, one little box in there that I love. It's called embrace your climate, which is that's one of the keys, right? One of the keys to growing things. Like where I live, I would love, like I'm near the ocean. And I know you know a little bit about growing near the ocean, but so I love growing tomatoes because they just taste so much better than supermarket tomatoes. But I have so much fog and it's cool almost all year long that tomatoes are really hard for me and they don't do super well. So it's not like I've given up. You know, cherry tomatoes do okay, and there's certain varieties that do okay, but it's not really gonna be great where I live. Like some people that live a little further away, they get a lot more sun. They can grow tomatoes like 8 months a year, you know.
That is amazing.
Okay, maybe not. I might be exaggerating, but they can grow all summer long and they get tomatoes and after tomatoes. But I just can't do that. I'm not gonna grow avocados where I live, you know, and stuff.
Yeah.
And certain fruits are not.
I think I feel the same way because I live in Melbourne. So Melbourne, for those who don't know, is the south of Australia. And so most of Australia is actually a lot warmer than where I live. And I guess us Melburnians, we're always looking north. We're looking at Queensland. We're looking at New South Wales and we're thinking, oh, how are you growing tomatoes, you know, all year round or like getting them so early? But one thing I guess we all have to remember is that it's not our fault. It's just because it's a lot cooler where we live or, you know, the weather is different. And so I guess it's really important to firstly like see people who live locally and see how they garden because then you'll have a more accurate representation and expectations of your own garden.
Yeah.
And also, just like going for those very hyper local tips for, you know, seasonality and timing. Everything else is very general in terms of how to grow things, but the seasons and stuff look locally. Yeah. So your book should do well in the Bay Area. You got to come out here. You come see the Californians. I would love to. I follow a lot of you on Instagram and YouTube, so I've seen it in photos only. Yeah.
All right, come on by. It's not that far. Only 14 hours?
24 hours. I don't know, maybe 18.
Yeah, it's a long one. But if you get here, I think you'll feel at home. I think you'll feel a lot
I definitely would love to.
Yeah. So go to your local nursery, go get a book or follow a blog that's local. That's a good tip. Now, you said you kind of do, tailor after smaller gardens. My backyard is, compared to your backyard, I think my backyard is maybe 1/10 the size of your backyard.
Yeah.
So we do a little container gardening. I noticed that you have a fair amount of that in your book as well. So you were kind of thinking about the urban gardener when you wrote this book?
Yes, because so my backyard is around, I think it's like 170 square meters. I'm not sure how that translates, but my entire block is 1/7 of an acre, if that means anything. So my backyard's a third of that-ish.
That's pretty big. That's pretty big for urban. Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty like average here. I guess we have a lot of land in Australia. Basically, because I want to grow so many things, I realized I needed to be efficient in my space usage. I always felt like, because I see so many people growing a lot of things that I want to grow, but they live on, acreage, micro farms or whatever. And I don't think that's going to happen for me, in my life. And I love living, in the suburbs where I can live close to my family or, my friends. So I had to get creative. And so I started growing a lot in pots. And I realized that it was pretty much no different. And I've been able to grow fruit. I grow a lot of fruit. I have like 90 fruit varieties in my garden.
Wow.
Yeah, right? In less than like 1/7 of an acre. And most of them are grown in pots and they fruit.
Oh, wow.
And that's when I realized, I can grow fruit in pots. That means I can grow pretty much like anything else. I can grow veggies in pots, herbs in pots. It's not really much different. And a lot of us here like live in apartments with balconies, so they can only grow in containers. And so I guess I'm just really passionate about letting people know that you can actually do it. It's just, I guess the information isn't really out there because it's more traditionally, industrial, agriculturally kind of based gardening methods.
Yeah.
Not really home gardening or, small space gardening methods. Yeah.
All right. So, one thing that I experienced is a little bit of, it's a combination of burnout and maybe a little discouragement, like when you grow something and maybe you get a little pest eating them all. We have a lot of cabbage moths out here.
Yeah.
Or we have gophers who eat from the roots up.
We don't have gophers. We are so lucky.
Yeah, gophers are terrible out here.
Yeah.
But what do you do to kind of fight discouragement or burnout with gardeners? If they come to you and say, look, I tried, it didn't work out, so I gave up. What do you tell those people?
Yeah, I have a lot of friends who tell me that. I think, so there's two things. The first thing is so a lot of people tell me that they'll have a little hole in their leaf and they'll be like, my whole plant's ruined. It's not, because it doesn't look like supermarket veggies, right? Supermarkets, they have all these aesthetic standards and they look perfect. So one thing I always feel like that is important to know is that you're going to grow imperfect veggies because that's the nature of organic gardening and that's actually the nature of plants and people. So I feel like, I feel like gardening for me is also like a really great, lesson in that plants are imperfect, people are imperfect, but everything's still perfectly fine, right? And to be honest, if you did have no damage to your like bok choy, I would be a bit concerned there because maybe there's like pesticides or something, at play, right? But yes, so firstly, to embrace and accept a bit of imperfection in your, in the things you grow. In terms of like insect damage, I write a bit about it in the book, but a lot of insect damage you can cut out. Of course, you can also, net things and stuff. In terms of like wildlife damage, which is a little bit more difficult. Again, there are like tips in the book, but I see it in a way where before there was like, houses built everywhere, the land was just forest and like nature. And so we've taken over the space the wildlife was occupying. And so if they eat a little bit of your garden, I guess it's okay,
Yeah.
We've taken so much from them. It sucks to have, gophers sticking up. You can definitely put measures in place. I know a lot of people in the States, they put some hardware cloth on the bottom before I follow too many Americans. Because I guess there's just so many content creators in the States, in the gardening space, but not so much in Australia, which is really exciting for me because I get to share this. But like if you take initial measures, as long as you can protect, most of your crop, a bit of damage I think is okay, simply because I guess we have to live hand in hand with the wildlife.
Yeah.
And they in turn provide us with so much in that they can help you control pests.
Yeah. Yeah. Another tip you gave that I really liked, and it seems so obvious, but it's great, is plant what you like to eat. Like I told you, I'm in the cool climate, right? So I can grow lettuce really, really easily where I live almost all year long. It never gets too hot out here. But I don't really like salad that much. So I think I need to figure out what I do like. Like I love peas, and peas also grow in this area quite well. And I love other things like Brussels sprouts. I do like those, and they grow well out here too. But I for a while I was growing things that I didn't really like to eat, so I wasn't as excited when it was time to harvest. You know what I mean?
You need to grow all the things in the cool season section of this book.
Yeah, that's where.
Yeah. So, if you grow lettuce, right? Have you tried seltzers before?
I don't know if I have. I don't think I have. Yeah, I saw it in your book, but I bet it would grow. I bet it would grow really well here.
Yeah, because it's actually just a variety of lettuce. So if you can grow lettuce, you can grow seltzers. And trust me, I'm Seltzer's unofficial publicist. Take me later. It's going to change your life.
Okay.
Truly.
Okay.
Yeah. Give that a shot. So I'm just looking at my contents page. I think you should definitely give chrysanthemum greens tung ho a shot. Amazing. Very good for your climate. And also the daikon. One thing I think is when I say that, embrace your climate, people who live in warmer climates who are struggling to grow daikon would be very envious of you. You'd be able to trade some very worthy daikon for some of their tomatoes. Yeah.
That's how it should work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, I agree. I think people do get jealous of my cool weather sometimes, but yeah, the daikon, maybe that's my bartering tool.
Exactly.
Celtis and daikon. Okay.
Embrace your strengths.
Writing those down. There's so many life lessons in gardening too.
Exactly. It's funny. It honestly is. I feel like it's one thing I started noticing only recently that there's just so many life lessons in terms of watching the seasons, accepting how things just are. It kind of feels like you're having a little bit of a self-therapy session just looking at your plants, right?
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on. We kind of already slid into part 2, which is plant profiles.
Yeah.
And like you said, you do label it, or you do organize it by season. And so I gotta bookmark the cool season veggies. Those are going to be my go-tos. But you know what else is fun too? I love the fact that there's so many different names for things. Like I've always called it Napa cabbage, but you have a whole section on wambach.
Well, yeah, we call it wambach here. I was trying to think about which name should be the hero name, and I thought I'm Aussie. I'm just going to use wambach. But I mean, we've got other things like what else is different?
Like, I call it chayote, but you call it chaco.
Yes, I was going to say, we call it chocos here.
Oh, choco. Okay.
Yeah.
But there's also Merlaton is another name that you've heard. There's so many names for that one thing.
We don't use that here. We just say
chocos.
Either. Yeah. And then there's things like shark fin melon. What do you call it?
I don't even know what that is.
That melon is an amazing melon. I wouldn't recommend it for a very small space, but if you can get your hands on one, highly recommend trying it out. They will last 2 years in your pantry.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're a bit of a COVID pandemic lockdown friendly food.
Yeah, you know what? Honestly, when the pandemic hit, I looked at my backyard and I was like, could I survive off of what I could grow?
Absolutely, I think.
I think, I can, like I said, I can probably grow potatoes all year long.
That's amazing.
That would be the hardest thing, was getting enough calories. I
Yeah.
I'm a biology teacher, so I was doing the math in my head
Oh,
about how could I get enough calories to survive? And I think potatoes would be
yeah.
the one.
That would
But
definitely be more space conscious than a rice paddy.
yeah,
Yes.
or a wheat field.
Yes, exactly. Which is why there's no rice in my book.
Yeah, that would be a little hard. But yeah. Um, okay, so part two is really fun. There's a lot of recipes embedded too, which I like the way you did that. Cause so you'll have a section on, let's say, like Asian mustards, but then you'll have a recipe. So you have, I think you said like 50 something plants and 50 something recipes, which I think is
Yeah.
great.
You can imagine I had to be quite concise to get all of that into one book. But
Yeah.
yeah, I guess for me, I put the recipes in as so the way I chose the recipes were things that I would probably cook after I've harvested those recipes. And they're not complicated at all. They're all about,
Mm,
modern people, lazy cooking, quick cooking, weekday
mm-hmm.
cooking, and a bit
Yeah.
of preserving as well. Because, like from a gardener's point of view, when it comes to cooking, often if you're planting a lot of the same thing and you've harvested a lot of the same thing, you want to be able to, enjoy that over a longer period of time. And so if you can preserve some of it, then that's a really great option for you. So I put
Yeah.
that kind of recipe in there. Nothing
Yeah.
very, nothing particularly fine dining chef. It's more home
Yeah.
cooking, gardening cooking. Yes.
But fun stuff too. I saw like the section that I really didn't know that much about, like that I never tried growing myself, was kind of your root section, starting
Oh,
with
yeah.
garlic, and then you get ginger and
Yep.
turmeric and what's it called? Galangal?
Yep. That's what we call it
Yeah,
here, galangal. Yep.
galangal.
Um, I think I don't pronounce it like the Southeast Asian way. I pronounce it the Aussie way, galangal.
Mm,
But my Indonesian friend pronounces it the proper way. But
okay.
yeah. But I'll tell you what, Curtis, you can grow all of those in pots because I grow them all in pots. You'll see in
I
the book,
saw
they're all in
that. Yeah,
pots,
I
right?
saw that. So I'm gonna try that.
Yeah.
I haven't grown those
I
before.
will I will tell you that you'll have better luck growing galangal and turmeric over garlic. So not garlic, over ginger. If you
Because
find,
of the weather.
yeah. But I mean, I'm not sure where you live in San Fran, but I thought it was quite warm there.
We are famous for our microclimates.
Oh, yeah.
And so where I live, it rarely, like I'm trying to think in Celsius, it rarely gets over 30. It's typically in the 20s.
How long do you get warmish weather for tomatoes ish? How many months?
Like 2.
Okay, I understand your climate. You might be in a microclimate quite similar to Tassie here, which is that little
Yeah,
island we often forget about on the bottom of Australia. Yeah.
But yeah, no, we get that coastal fog.
Okay.
And so the rest of the Bay Area gets a lot more sun than I
Yeah.
do.
So I would recommend giving turmeric and galangal a go. Ginger maybe a bit more challenging for you. But yeah,
Okay.
swap
Yeah.
your turmeric for someone else's ginger.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I could grow a little bit of that, then I wouldn't have to go to the market as much. Now, you said it's a little slow growing. It takes a while to...
Well, I would say that they would need the whole of the warmer season to get going. Galangal will probably grow all year round for you. And you just harvest whenever you need it. And as you harvest, you could like chop it into small pieces, put it in the freezer, and you can have like supply whenever you need it. So yeah.
Yeah, that's something that people don't think about that much, is those roots freeze pretty well. Like you can freeze them
I think
and use them
because
all year.
so many people, they depend on the supermarket, to buy all their fruit and veggies. So they don't really like have to freeze it, you just buy it when you need it. But from a gardener, you think more from like a seasonal nature perspective, which is, it's quite interesting. It's a really nice way to live life. It kind of helps you slow down and appreciate how difficult it is sometimes to grow something.
Yeah.
You know how a lot of like us, well, as a kid, I used to be like, oh, salad, don't need to eat that. Leave it on the plate, right? But like now I really appreciate my salads because, every plant had to put in that energy to create that salad. And when you grow your own, like everything just tastes so much more better. Yeah.
Yeah. And you don't want to waste it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Hey, you ready to play Supermarket Challenge?
Okay, yes.
Okay, so I went to my local, so this is an Asian market in San Francisco, and I videoed just one aisle of some
Oh,
veg,
yes.
and these are leafy ones. So I'm gonna play this video, and I'll post this on my Instagram as well. And I can slow it. It goes a little fast because I didn't want to be standing out in the aisle recording, but it goes a little fast. So let me know if you need me to pause it. But okay, let's watch this together, and then you tell me what catches your eye and what you would make with it if you were cooking this tonight.
Yeah.
All right, so let me go back to the beginning here. So this market actually is one of the better ones for Asian veg. Okay, so I'll narrate here.
Chinese
so Chinese celery.
We've got that. What's Kangkong?
Kangkong.
Yeah, we have. Yum.
Water spinach.
Oh, yes, mustard.
There's mustard.
Yes.
We got baby mustard.
Yeah. Yum.
Then
Delicious.
we've got...
Okay,
what is this one?
This one really excites me. Can I talk about it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Does that say Xue Li Hong? Yeah. This one, Xue Li Hong, probably butchered that because I haven't talked to my parents recently and they speak Chinese, so I speak English here. But this veggie is a type of Asian mustard green that I spent months looking for in Australia, and we don't have it here. It is highly recommend you buying that whole thing. Just a whole tray of it because it is the variety that they use in China. They grow it like mass in the farms or whatever to make. Have you heard of xian cai? It's like preserved salty mustard greens. They often come in a little foil packet in the aisles.
Oh,
have you tried it?
Oh,
okay. But this one, okay, I'll tell you. This one is the exact variety that you should be using to make my recipe in my book called xian cai. I don't know what page it's on because here in Australia we don't have it. So I make it just out of, any leafy mustard greens. So the one on the right that you just had, which was baby mustard greens or something. But this veggie and that preserved salted mustard green is like my favorite thing in the world. It's very Shanghainese. My mum always has it. And so I found out about this because I was looking for the exact variety to grow. But unfortunately, I could not get it. And now I can see an image of it in your supermarket and I'm very, very jelly. It's only $1.50. That's cheap.
$1.50 a pound. Yeah.
Pound hot. So it's $3.
Like half a kilo, maybe.
Hey, actually, no, that's not that cheap. Sorry.
Okay.
I don't know what the prices are there, but get some and try it. Highly recommend.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good. So that's only one aisle. So it goes on for another couple aisles. There's other ones too, but I think we're pretty lucky out here.
Yeah. I'm sure there are some like Asian grocers here that have a bigger variety. I guess they're just not so local to where I live. But my garden looks like that.
Yeah, no, amazing.
Yeah.
I've seen pictures of your garden. You have so much.
I really enjoy it.
All right, I think we're running up against the clock a little bit.
Yeah.
But for the listeners out there, I wanted you to maybe give them your top 5 beginner for Bay Area or Melbourne. Can you narrow it down to 5? I know it's going to be hard for you.
No, I can definitely do it because I talk to so many beginner gardeners. I feel like it's just like, anyway, I'll give it to you. Okay, beginner gardeners. Number 1, Vietnamese mint. Very easy.
Ooh.
Keep it in a self-watering pot. As long as it's got water, you'll never kill it. Number 2. Yep. Number 2, a yuzu tree, something interesting. Wait.
Yeah.
Do you get frost?
No.
Yeah, cool. Bay Area, great. You got a very mild climate. Yeah, yuzu trees. If you can grow a lemon tree, which is very common to grow, right? You can grow a yuzu tree. Same thing, except it's so much more fancy, right?
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, you can trade those for absolutely anything you want. Everyone wants a fresh yuzu. Number 3, celtus. One thing I do like about what I put in the book is that if you are like thinking, should I not grow celtus because I haven't heard of it? if you like follow the recipes and just buy from like an Asian grocer, like you can give it a shot before you grow it. So if you're not sure, you could try and hunt them down in the supermarket. But highly recommend. You won't regret it. It will change your life. Let me know about it later.
I will.
Yeah. Number 4, I would say, I want to say tung ho, chrysanthemum greens. Again, it is a really unique and distinct flavor of Asian veggies. And you can use that kind of in anything as a replacement of your typical kind of, bok choys and stuff. But what I will say is, bok choy, wombok, they're part of the brassica family, right? And so they attract those butterflies and those caterpillars. And nobody wants that. But I'll tell you what, tung ho is not part of that family.
Oh.
Yeah, it's part of the daisy family, and they don't attract any pests in that kind of way. So there you go. This one is a pest-free Asian green to grow, highly underrated. I think I'm up to number 5. I'll give you another herby herb thing. Spring onion. So easy.
Yeah.
It will grow with your eyes closed. I mean,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the easiest way to get started is not by seed. That is the hot tip. Get some from the supermarket from the Asian grocer with the roots attached. Put them in water or soil, and literally it's magic. Just grows so fast.
Yeah. We have some on the counter right now as we speak.
I feel like every Asian household has a bit of that on the counter. Got to make the most of your money.
It's free. It's like free money. It's like printing money on the tree.
Exactly.
Oh, man. All right, everyone. So I think we're going to, we have so much more in the book. So you just have to go out there and buy the book. There's so much more in there.
I would love to see more of these books out in the States. That is like so cool because I haven't visited myself. So I feel like the book is a part of me visiting these different places.
Yeah, we got to get your publisher to get you a book tour out here. Well, I'll be your manager out here.
That would be such a joy.
But so everyone out there, you know where to get it. You can get it on Amazon, but check your local bookstore. They may have it. And if you want to just follow Connie on her Instagram, it's at Connie and Luna on social media. Yep. Lots of good stories. You can see the chickies there. You can see the doggies. You see lots of good stuff on the Instagram. But we're not done just yet. We still have the lightning round. Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Okay, we'll give it a try. You get to pick one of these. Yeah. The other one doesn't exist.
What?
So this is going to be hard.
Okay.
So I'm going to give you 2 things.
Yeah.
And you get to pick one, but the other one doesn't exist. So this is going to be hard. All right. Asian mustards or Asian roots?
Asian mustards. Absolutely. That's easy.
For sure?
Yeah, because, am I allowed to say why?
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
Because there's just so many different varieties of them, and they're also different in how you can use them, and you can preserve every single one into a different kind of pickle. Yes.
Yeah. But then you have to trade with someone who has Asian roots.
Exactly.
All right. How about this one? Now you can include non-Asian veg too. So nightshades or legumes?
Legumes, easy. Because because they're easier to grow in that anybody can grow them. They don't really need much like fertile soil because they're quite self-sufficient in that. And long beans are a legume, and I freaking love long beans. They are the best bean ever because you think about it, it's a 70-centimeter bean or whatnot. You cut the 2 ends and you pretty much finish preparing them. You can chop them smaller if you like, right? Because if you have smaller beans, you got to like top and tail every single one. Long beans are efficient and productive.
The prep. Okay. All right. Question number 2 is, do you have any names for your chicks yet?
Oh, yes, I do. Okay. I have my chicken plan didn't quite go to plan because originally I was meant to have 3. I was going to get 3 pullets. So 3 teenagers. But I ended up with 17 chicks. But one name that is absolutely going to happen is that I'm going to be naming one of my Aracanas, which is a light kind of grayish blue colored chicken, Luna. I'm going to put an end to that frequently asked question of who is Luna. My display picture will be me holding this chicken, and I'll be like, that's Luna. No more questions.
No more questions.
Yes, that's sorted because Luna right now was meant to be my puppy who came to me as a male. In hindsight, could have named him Luna, but yes, his name's Toro.
Okay, so mystery solved. Luna is a chicken.
Yes.
All right. Now, you're also a travel enthusiast.
Yeah.
And so I want to know what's on your bucket list. What's your next bucket list destination for traveling?
Honestly, I've been thinking about it. I love going to Japan. That is our next destination next year. We've booked a trip. But one place I actually have been really fascinated about is going back to China. Because, I guess that's where my family is from. But only my parents and my sister are in Australia. The rest of them are in China. And so we don't actually visit them much because I guess it's like really expensive to like fly often and my parents haven't. But as I grow older, I feel like I want to understand and, explore more of the country.
Yeah.
And in one of our most recent visits, which was still like 5 years ago, we went to like the countryside and it was just such a beautiful kind of untouched area for the Western kind of tourist.
Yeah.
And I guess because I can speak Chinese, it's a little bit easier for me. And I feel like it's just such a fascinating place to just see in terms of landscapes and just see and kind of understand like the history of it. So I guess, like after my trip to Japan, I would love to attempt to make it back to China.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you. Like China for me changed my life too. I didn't go until I was 20 something and didn't understand as much about my roots as I should have. And then I went there and it really made me want to know more. And, like you said, China is such a giant place.
Exactly.
Like it's unlimited different terrain and types of cities and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right. Our last question is we asked our guests who their infatuation is. Infatuation is any Asian that you admire, could be living or deceased. So, Connie Cow, who is your infatuation?
Look, I want to say there's this Australian on TV. I don't know if you know Po.
No, I don't.
Po Ling Yao. She is like one of the few, I guess, like Asian women on TV. Who's kind of more of she's more of like an everyday household name now. And I guess for me growing up, it wasn't even that long ago, but there's just not much like Asian representation that like I would like to have on TV and being able to kind of watch her career. So I saw it from the start. So she was on MasterChef, actually. I don't know if you like watch it there.
Yeah.
Our Aussie MasterChef's apparently a huge hoot. But, she started her career on that and she's just been going from strength to strength. And I guess, like as a kid, like the only careers that I thought were like for me, accountant, doctor, engineer, lawyer. It's nice to kind of see that and see her doing really well and to feel like, I can potentially belong in that kind of space. So I really like her for that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I've talked to a couple Aussies and they've said that, something with MasterChef or people that appeared on MasterChef were the only Asians that they ever saw on TV for a long time.
Honestly, it is. I don't know why, but we do have a lot of great Asian Australian cooks, I guess, on MasterChef. There is a lot of, I guess what I like about that show is that there's a lot of representation across the cultures. But I think outside of MasterChef, it is still a bit different. It's still not as much representation. Yeah.
All right, great pick. But guess what? Today you are our infatuation because we are picking you as our infatuation. Thank you so much for writing this book. I think it's really important and really fun.
Oh, thank you so much, Curtis. I had such a great time chatting with you.
Oh, no, I could do, I'm not an avid gardener, but I do like it. And you've inspired me. So I'm going to clean up the backyard and send you some pictures when I got it a little cleaner.
Get ready for spring.
We got we're heading into spring. You're right.
Yeah.
All right. So listeners out there, go get a copy of Connie's book. Go follow her on Instagram. And if you want to follow us, you can follow us at Infatuasian Podcast or send us an email at infatuasianpodcast@gmail.com. We'll put all these details in the show notes. But until Connie comes out here to the Bay Area, we'll just keep following you on Instagram and hopefully you'll get out here one of these days.
Oh, I would love to. We'll have to chat online until then.
Yeah. So definitely keep in touch. And so on behalf of Connie and myself, we hope that you're all happy, healthy, and safe out there. We'll talk to you again soon, everyone. Bye.
Bye.